Good morning and welcome to our resume and cover letter workshop in career services in our series of Passport to Success. And again, my name is Aldwin. I'm the Corporate Director of Career Services. I would like to welcome you again. I hope your education is riding along just well, and we would like to continue that. And again, with our workshop series, we always want to begin with the end in mind. And our goal, as is yours, hopefully, is to be able to get your career going even before you graduate. And our goal is to get you hired from your internship or externship, or get you opportunities. And with that in mind, today we're going to be talking about resumes and cover letters. On your screen right now is a sample of a resume. Now, I'm going to just show you a couple of different samples today. There are many resources out there, and we can provide that to you in career services, especially one of our resources called jobsforgradsnow.com. Again, that's jobs, the number 4, gradsnow.com. And please connect with your career services professional, and we'll be able to assist you with that. But there are many resources out there. Today I just wanted to kind of get you to take a look at maybe a not so good version of a resume and a better version of the resume, as well as cover letters, and then we'll discuss there. For me, again, the resume basically is your first impression many times to an employer. A lot of times your resume will be emailed, sometimes faxed, or sometimes walked in, or sometimes given and passed on by somebody else before they even get to hear from you, speak to you, or meet you face to face. But so your resumes normally have to give you the best first impression, because how often can you make a first impression? Well, once, correct? And you want to always make it the best possible. So first of all, we're going to give you some general tips on resumes here in a little bit, but wanted to show you a quick resume here. So take a look at your screen, take a look at Bob Smith's resume, and first of all, what jumps out at you? What are some things that, wow, this is good or this is not so good? And as a friendly reminder, many employers, if not most employers, they'll only take about 30 seconds to look at your resume, and if your resume does not catch their attention, guess where that resume will go? We call it the round file, but basically it will get tossed. So we want to make sure that is the case. I'm going to give you a few seconds here, and go ahead and take a look at Bob Smith's resume, his objective, the work experience. And as I scroll down here, you'll see a little bit more with education, and he even has a section on personal. So what do you see? And put yourselves in the employer's mindset and his or her perspective. What jumps out at you? Would you even continue reading this resume? Why or why not? How fast would you have stopped reading this resume if you did stop? Okay, so let's discuss. Let's talk about the very top part here. And hopefully you've jotted some notes down, even marked up this resume. I've printed it out and marked up this resume just so you can learn from somebody else's experience, right? So for myself, and again, we're not perfect, so let's take a look at this, and maybe you'll catch some things that I didn't, and maybe I'll catch some things that you didn't. So what do we see at the very top? Well, first of all, how do we contact this person? There is no phone number. There is no email, and again, even the font might not be the best font. The name doesn't stand out. So there's certain things. We're going to point out some good things and maybe some not so good things. How about the job objective? Right. So basically, what is going to happen is what we have are opportunities here where we can take a look and make a good first impression. What is your main point here? And again, what I see here is there's some typos. Hired is misspelled. And again, there's a usage here of a very generic job objective. So let's talk about just what we see here, and on our next resume that we'll look at, we'll see how we can improve on that. Okay? How about the work experience? What do you see in the work experience? Now, here, this person, Bob, uses the word I, in my opinion, too often. In fact, in your resume, you might not need to even use the word I, right? Because you can definitely word that phrase or that sentence a lot stronger. But in this certain circumstance, another way potentially that this could be improved is some people like to use bullets, and we'll look at that. And there are different ways, there are different versions of a resume, but this person uses the sentence format. Let's continue reading on, and it says the YMCA of my town, Tennessee. Now for me, one of the things, look at the dates. It says June to August 1997, 98, and 99. Well, for myself, I am going to question what dates in 98 and 99. Was it just 1 month? Was it the whole year? So those are different things there. And again, as you continue to read, there are some misspellings. Counselor is misspelled. And there are certain areas, again, that we could improve. And again, we'll talk about how to improve that in our next resume here in a bit. How about education? Now, one thing here is that attending my town business and medical college currently. Question that I have is, what are you taking? What is your field of expertise? What are you studying? Personal. Let's take a look at that section. And here, Bob goes up to say and talk about himself. Now, though very important, the last sentence here says, I like to ride horses. Again, there's misspelling of captain. And love it that they have played golf. But the question that the employer will many times pose is, well, what's in it for me? How is riding horses going to help me impact and make an impact on my business? How is playing golf going to help me in my business, in your role in my business? So again, you want to think like the employer. So putting something here personal might not be the best way to go if these are the personal things that we're putting down here. And again, this is an example of maybe a not so good resume. But again, I'm going to give you a few seconds again. Take a look. What else? Are there any other things here? I hit on the main points, but what else could Bob have done in this resume to make this even stronger? All right, now let's take a look at another resume for Bob Smith. And again, now, as an example, the first resume is typical of maybe an initial resume that is submitted to Career Services that's emailed to us. But this second resume is something where we have now revised it together. Maybe we've asked more questions of Bob. Maybe we can ask more questions of you and maybe dig a little deeper into what you accomplished. So let's talk about some general things about what a good resume looks like, and then we'll also take a look at this version of Bob's resume. So with this version of Bob's resume, what we want to do is take a look at what a good resume is. And on your screen, it still looks like it's on a white sheet of paper, but what I would recommend is anytime you do a resume, you want to be able to print it out on nice resume paper, and you can get that at your local copy place, and you can get some paper at your local stores, and again, resume paper. And what I like is normally the little thicker paper, the colors, the more conservative colors, the light beige, maybe the light blue or light gray, those kinds of things. A little thicker in texture versus regular copy paper. Also, you want things to stand out. So as you're doing your resume, you want things to stand out that you want to stand out. For example, as you see Bob Smith now on this second resume, his name stands out, but also the contact information. We've even put down here their email, right, in a different color, in blue, and also a LinkedIn URL, which in a future workshop you'll hear and see the importance of LinkedIn and social media. So again, with the resume, you want to catch their attention. When, how fast, at the very top. What you want to do in your resume is you want to catch their attention at the very top so that they can continue reading. So what I'd like to suggest is you can have an objective, you can have different things. Sometimes people don't put objectives anymore. That choice is going to be yours. It is your resume. Now, another suggestion that I will have is that you should have different versions of your resume. So for example, you can have one with an objective, you can have one without an objective. There are different kinds of resumes where it's chronological, where your work experience starts off from where you're currently working and then you go backwards. Another version of a resume could be where it just focuses on your strengths in that particular field, because maybe you've jumped around a little bit and all you want to do is focus on the fields that are pertinent to the career or the job that you're searching for actively. Also, there are some longer what we call curriculum vitae, which are longer resumes, but normally what you want to do for a resume is keep it to about 1 page. Now, if you have a lot of experience, maybe if you have 10 plus years of experience, we might need to have more than 1 page. But more often than not, we can make that a little bit more succinct and make that more powerful in 1 page. Now, consult with your career services person or someone that you can trust regarding resumes, and maybe we would need 2 pages in case your experience does go over or there are a lot more things to highlight. But let's take a look now at this version of Bob Smith's resume. So I'll give you a few seconds. Take a look at the job objective, the work experience. What jumps out at you? What are areas that now we've improved? It still may not be perfect, but I want you to take a look. I want you to see how from the very first version to this version of Bob Smith's resume, what has jumped out. So let's start off with that. The job objective. Now we know what Bob is actually looking for. And I love the fact that it says that we'll leverage the proven customer service skills and dependability. So that now makes me want to see how did Bob prove his customer service skills and dependability. I want to read more, and that's really what the initial part of the resume is just to make the employer want to read more. And remember, the real purpose of the resume is to get you your interview. The resume does not get you your job. The resume gets you your foot in the door so that you can get your interview, and then you can now market, represent, and show them why they should hire you and make you an offer and give you a start date. But your resume gets your foot in the door for that interview. So let's take a look at now the work experience. Now, what I like about this version is now the things are standing out. I can see now where he's working. I can see now the different positions. I can see now progression in Bob's time when he was working at Walmart. And again, as you're sitting here, I don't know what your experience is. I don't know what your previous work experience has been. If you're going into the health field, if you're going into the different fields that we have here at our colleges, well, maybe your experience is different, but it could be what we call transferable or pertinent. Like, for example, if you're going into the medical field, maybe there might be some patient care. If you're going into medical billing, where you're dealing with patients and customers and insurance companies, maybe your previous retail experience might be helpful, or customer service experience will be extremely helpful. Well, that's why we're putting down here experience at Walmart, and I can see that they've been a lead cashier, but they started off as a stock clerk, so they've moved up in the company, right? And now Bob is looking to be a medical assistant. Well, let's take a look at maybe, things that what employers look at. Take a look at this as a stock clerk. They started June 2000 to May 2003. Then in May 2003, be promoted to cashier until October 2007. And then was promoted to lead cashier October 2007, and it looks like is still working at Walmart. So guess what? This person has moved up, and there are no gaps. They kept moving up. And now what I like about this resume now, as we're looking at the work experience, is that now it's bulleted. I can see, it catches my eye, and then I can see right away that they've determined the schedule for 12 full-time cashiers, that they improved cleanliness ratings within the department by 4 points in first year. These are the things that employers like to see, is what did you actually accomplish? Are there specific, measurable, tangible goals you met? results you made happen, and benefits you brought to the organization. And utilize words like, as you can see there, the fourth bullet, delivered outstanding customer service. Not good, not great, but outstanding customer service. Right? So what are things that are going to make you jump out? And let's be sincere, let's be very accurate and real, but at the same time, this is your time to market and represent yourself on a resume. Let's continue on. As you notice here now, a little bit more of work experience, education, and awards. Now this is a little bit more clear for the YMCA. Now it says summers of all 3 years. Summers of 97, 98, and 99. So it looks like to me it's a summer position. Well, great. But again, there might be some times, maybe you have some volunteer experience. Maybe you've never worked before. Well, let's put that volunteer experience, that community service experience in your resume, because it may show to an employer what you could potentially do if you do receive a paid, compensated position. So for the YMCA, they created schedules for basketball camps. They were promoted to the lead counselor, again, moving up. They supervise children and junior counselors. So again, there are people that may have different experience but not be getting paid, or just different positions. Put that in there. My suggestion is, as you put together your resume, put everything you've ever done on that initial resume. Your career services professional will help you weed it out a little bit, delete or edit, or even expand on things that we think might be important to market and represent you better. But please take a look at, again, how an employer looks at it. What benefit do you bring to their team? So take a few seconds again now. Take a look at the education and award sections, and let's discuss what you see there. Okay, for the education portion. Now again, previously I had asked, well, what did this person study? Now it says it. An associate degree in medical assisting. And it shows the expected graduation date, if you haven't graduated yet, or if you're still in the process. So this is what you can put on your current resume. You're still going to school, you're still going through our program. Your expected graduation date is fall of 2000, and put the appropriate year. At least the employer now knows that you're still completing your education. And then when you complete your education, you've got to revise it. And again, that's a key point in a resume. Make sure that each resume that you are about to send out or about to give to somebody is the most updated and has the most updated information that you have, whether it's your contact information, whether it's your education background, whether it's your work experience. Maybe you have just added on new skills. Put that down there. And with this resume, let's talk about that. With skills, there's a portion that you can add on to your resume that has skills or qualifications. Right? And you can also bullet those, and you can put down maybe the skills and qualifications that you've learned through the program that you're studying. Maybe some programs, some computer programs maybe some terminology or in the health field, the different procedures that you're familiar with. If you're EKGs and vitals and blood draws, or the ICD, right? 10 CPT. Right? Those kinds of things. You want to put those skills. If you're in pharmacy, maybe the brand versus the generic names, and just different things that you can add on to your resume. And we can portion that as and classify that as skills and qualifications. And that might be before your work experience, it might be after your work experience. My suggestion is, whatever is your strength, you want to put that at the top. If it's you've got great work experience, make sure you put that at the top so somebody can see your resume and want to continue reading on. Also, if it's your skills and qualifications, you want to put that at the top if that's your strength. So somebody can read what maybe you're CPR certified, bilingual in certain language, or again, 5+ years of excellent customer service or retail experience, 3 years of management experience, and you put that at the very top so somebody can continue reading on because they've now been intrigued by your initial portion of your resume. The last portion here, it says on this particular resume, is awards. And what stands out to me here is perfect attendance. 8 terms out of 12. Right now, the best thing would be, of course, 12 out of 12, but hey, perfect attendance, 8 terms out of 12 is great. It also says an award that they received, Excellent Customer Care Award. Do you think that's important to different roles or to different companies that you provide excellent customer care? Well, for me, I want to get to know this person. Not only do they have perfect attendance, but they are also awarded the excellent customer care. Again, point in a resume is to get you an interview. So again, this is just a sample resume. So as you're here, does it have to be in this order: job objective, work experience, education, and then awards? Not necessarily. What I would suggest is you could have different versions of your resume and see what works. And if you're getting bites, if you're getting interviews, then your resume is working. If you're not getting interviews, if you're not getting calls back for interviews, then we're going to either need to change probably a couple things. Change how your resume looks, but also change how you're sending it out, right? The other aspect of it is that you want to take a look at keywords, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, especially with a cover letter. But you've got to look at keywords in different advertisements, in different job advertisements, and we're going to talk about that also here. And you want to make sure, if you're looking for a position as a medical biller, and you see and do research on a company that's looking for a medical biller, what are the keywords that they put in their job advertisement, in that order that they're looking at? What is it that they're looking for? And you want to take some of those keywords and make sure you put it in your resume as well as your cover letter. Does that make sense? Because you want the HR people, who sometimes they're the first line of getting your resume to the appropriate department head or manager, is they've got to search and sort out resumes, and they want to make sure that they find the keywords. So make sure those keywords, whatever those keywords are in the job advertisement, in the particular opening, you want to make sure those keywords are in your resume. And again, our next step here, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at cover letters. So now we talked about resumes. Again, there's different versions. There's so many different versions. What I would suggest is you want to have probably 3 to 4 at least different versions of your resume, and always make sure they're updated, and keep them on a flash drive, keep them backed up, email them to yourselves in case your flash drive is lost or your computer unfortunately crashes. Make sure you email it so it's out there in the email, and you can always grab it and then be able to edit and change. Also send it to your career services professional, and he or she can also maintain that for you just in case you lose it as well. Make many copies on regular copy paper just in case you need to make photocopies. Make sure you always have at least 10 good looking copies ready, most updated on resume paper, so that in case you meet somebody, you never know when you're going to meet somebody that might be your next employer, that you're able to give that resume to them, and you know it's the most updated, it's on very nice paper, it's on a portfolio, it's in a portfolio, and you're able to show and give your best first impression. So let's talk about cover letter samples and cover letters. So what is a cover letter? Well, I'm going to show you, here are a couple samples of cover letters, right? But before I show you the actual cover letters, let's talk about what a job advertisement looks like. So again, we just talked about putting keywords. Well, I'll give you a few seconds. Take a look at this particular job advertisement. What stands out at you? What are some things, again, you want to grab out of this job advertisement and put into either your resume or your cover letter or both? So take a look at that, right? As we scroll down, here's another job advertisement. Again, take a look at what they're looking for. Pay close attention to what it is they're looking for, and you want to make sure, we shared earlier about skills and qualifications. In that second portion there, it talks about must be proficient with all Microsoft Office tools, including Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. Guess what you should be putting in your skills and qualifications? Again, if you're proficient, if you're at expert level, then you want to put that. If you're an expert level at Microsoft Excel, then you want to put that in the portion of skills and qualifications. Maybe you are proficient in PowerPoint. You want to put that. Again, you want to take out what it is they're looking for to be able to put it into your cover letter and your resume. So now here's a sample of a cover letter. So again, here, what is a cover letter? A cover letter allows you to attach something to your resume, maybe as you email, as you send it as an attachment, as maybe if you still fax, or if you walk this into an actual company, or give it to somebody who can refer you to someone else. You want to put a cover letter in there, or especially, of course, if it's a response to a job advertisement, you want to put a cover letter in there, and it gives you another page to expand on why they should give you an interview. Again, the cover letter allows you to introduce your resume to allow you an opportunity to get the interview. So great cover letters catch your attention right away. Are only maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs, but they talk about major things and keep in mind major components. They, number one, tell you why they're sending you this letter. And in this particular letter, it talks about that they found this through monster.com, a position posted for medical assistant, experience preferred. And if you notice from the previous job advertisement, it's taking things out of the actual job advertisement and putting it into the cover letter. So as you read on, after it introduces themselves and how they found the position, and also why they're writing this letter, now these are the times to be able to share what your strengths are. So let's take a look at that. The second paragraph there talks about their breadth of experience in customer service and patient care. I want you to pay close attention. There's typos here too, because I want to make sure that you know that you still have to be very careful. Your resume and cover letter both have to be very much proofread. Now this cover letter, to me, I wouldn't say it's a great cover letter. There's still a lot of I's. There's some typos in the second line in the second paragraph. There's additionally I, and there's no space. So there's different things. So you want to really go through your cover letter and resume with fine-tooth comb, go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So I'm showing this to you so that you know that even though this letter is good, there can always be ways to improve it. Does that make sense? So then after sharing a little bit about their experience, what I would suggest in this cover letter is, unfortunately, they don't really give too much detail. It just talks about a couple things that about what they're able to work evenings and weekends, and tell them about the supervisors would say that their work ethic, attention to detail, and reliability are second to none. But what is an example? Give an example of why your work ethic and attention to detail are second to none. And in fact, this person, I would suggest that their attention to detail is not second to none, because there are some typos in their cover letter. So you want to make sure you're consistent with that, right? Also, I like the fact that, again, they're continuing to share a little bit more about why they're excited to work for the company. But you also want to bring in more what you can bring to the table. What can you bring to the company? Now, the last sentence or the last paragraph normally in a cover letter, you want to ask specifically why you sent the letter, why you sent the resume. You want to ask for an interview. Now this person put, I look forward to hearing from you regarding next steps. How could we make that better? How could we make that stronger? How could we make that more firm and more confident? Well, there are different ways. You can say something like, I look forward to setting up an interview with you in order for you to see, learn, and get to know more of my qualifications, and for me to show you how I can be an amazing asset to your team. I will follow up with you also in the next 1 to 2 business days. Sincerely, in your name. That's a different way to do it. You're asking for the interview, but you're also telling them, I will follow up, just in case. And especially if you're studying something like, oh, I don't know, medical billing, medical insurance, right? Because why? Follow-up is key. Being able to do the follow-up on the insurance and the payments, and being able to get those funds for your medical facility, your doctor, your organization, that's very important. So again, though this is a good cover letter, I do believe there's areas where you can improve, but this is a good start. Now here's another cover letter. Take a look at this. Take a few seconds, take a look at how this one might be a little bit different than the first one. Okay, so let's take a look at after the introduction. And again, it shows where they found out about the position, what position that they're looking to apply for. What I like about this next portion is in that second paragraph, it says they're excited by the prospect of working for a company that is growing and in which rapid change is the norm. So here, this is good. You're sharing, you're letting them know that they're a growing company, but now they're about to show you, the employer, how they can help out. And again, if you remember the previous one of the previous slides earlier, it was the job advertisement and about looking for somebody who has Microsoft Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. Well, right away, the skills included are advanced user of Microsoft Excel and Word, proficient user of Microsoft PowerPoint. So right away, those are the things that jump out. And now in a bulleted form, now you're laying out, this person's laying out what they can bring to the team, to the table, to the company. So take a look at that. It stands out. And again, as a cover letter, you just want them to say, okay, let me take a look at more, and then they'll look at your resume. Again, this particular cover letter, I like this format. It has just three areas. The introduction, how they found out about it. Second portion with the bullets is what they can bring to the team, what they can bring to your organization as an employer, what they can bring to be an asset. And then lastly, it asks about maybe the next steps. Again, to make it a little bit stronger, it says, I look forward to hearing from you regarding next steps. How can you word that a little bit different? But I like this format. Your thoughts. How could you improve this? What can you do to make yours stand out better than this person's? Good. And again, just like you have different versions of your resume, you're going to want to have different versions of your cover letter. And just like you would put your resume on nice quality resume paper, put your cover letter on the same. Make it look the same. Make it on the same paper, because now you want them to identify you as that person. As you're the same. You're branding yourself now. And again, in a future workshop, we're going to talk about branding. But that's your resume. That's your cover letter. And again, with the resumes and cover letters, you have, I think, my humble opinion, you've got one chance to make a first impression. You want to make the best. You want them to say, wow, we have to meet this person. We need to call this person and get them into this office for an interview as soon as possible before they're hired by our competition. Again, the resume does not get you your job. The resume does not get you that offer normally. But the resume, that cover letter, should get your foot in the door if you do it right. The resume and cover letter should get your foot in the door for an amazing opportunity to now wow them. And whatever you put on your resume and cover letter, now you can actually bring it to life in the interview. You can actually be able to show them why they should hire you. Always use their name. If you know who the contact people are in the company who you're sending the resume cover letter to, please put it by their name and not to whom it may concern. Address it personally, address it sincerely, and address it appropriately. And if you do so, you'll get that interview. And in a future workshop, we're going to discuss how to ace that interview. And again, we want to wish you the best. This is a journey. We want to be with you throughout this journey. It's an exciting journey. I know sometimes it's a little nervous. It's a little nerve-wracking. You're a little nervous. Maybe this is your first time putting together a resume or cover letter. Maybe this is your 1,000th time to put a resume cover letter, or anywhere in between. But we want to be with you every step of the way to be able to show you and empower you, because eventually you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to, anytime you need to edit a resume cover letter, anytime you move up in a company, anytime you get a different position, maybe with another company, you'll know how to make those appropriate changes, appropriate tweaks. Little things I want to just have you keep in mind is on your resume, if you are no longer working at the company, you want to word it past tense. If you're currently working with the company, it's present tense, right? So you want to word it that way. But every step of the way, you're going to be making some changes as you grow in your career, as you grow in this journey, and we want to be definitely a great part of that. So thank you for taking your time to go through this workshop. Thank you for joining us in the Resume Cover Letter Workshop, and we look forward to seeing you, and going through this journey with you at our future workshops. Have an amazing day.